So this is a quick demonstration to show how you would start the game of Tamen TCG before actually playing the game itself. The first thing you would do is that you would separate the three card types within your deck. That is events, gear, and allies, or Tamen, whatever you want, the monsters themselves. And you would put them in their respective deck spaces, which is shown here on video. And I think I might make an actual board that shows instructions for other beginners to just be able to reference onto. Now I'm going to flip these face down because that's how you're supposed to start the game. And what you're going to do is you're going to search your ally deck for cards you want to summon on the board before the game starts. Now the combined numbers have to be 5 or less. If you were to summon something with a count of 4, that would be the only thing you could summon at that time. If you wanted to do a combined summon of something with 2 and 3, that would be 5, or 2 and 2 would be 4. It all depends on how you feel like you want to start the game. Just for demonstration purposes, let's start with Botany Boxer Manticora in the A space and Fruity in the G stance. Now I'm going to go out of my deck and I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to press R and shuffle. Now, what I'm going to do is, because I've placed 2 cards down on the field, I'm going to draw 3 cards to my hand, because this whole thing counts as my hand. And if you ever don't know what you're supposed to draw, just remember that you got the 2 cards here and 3 spaces left. So whatever card is here, those spaces determine what cards you draw for the start of the game. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3. I got a good mix of almost everybody except for the tree guy. And then you're going to set whatever monsters you want into the roster. For reasons, I'm just going to set them all down there. Now, when you set a creature to the roster, whether it be from the field or from the hand, it'll always be face down. This resets their stats. This resets whatever has been done to them, but you cannot use them for the remainder of the turn. And there are some abilities where you can't use them for like 2 turns. Now, you and your opponent are going to do this before the game starts, so just make sure you can't see each other's cards. And then once you decide who goes first with either a rock, paper, scissors, a flip of the coin, a roll of the die, whatever you want to do, and you have your creatures set, you're going to flip them face up. And then you're going to start the game. And the start of the game is the draw phase. Now, during the draw phase, there are 2 things you can do. You can either draw 1 creature and 1 gear, or you can draw 2 gear to, get a better setup with the creatures you already have. I think the more common option will probably be to draw 2 gear, so I'm just gonna that's not what I meant to do. Draw 1, 2. There we go. And okay, pretty good. Now, this is still during the draw phase. Your opponent will draw cards as well, but after the first player, so whoever the first player is, they'll draw cards, and then the second player will draw cards, and then you move on to the set phase. The set phase is where you set up your board for the strategy that you will put during the strike phase. So during this phase, you can activate an event. This is a really good one, actually. So all ally verdants on the field, active ally verdant, lose 1 size. So that means that she is now, instead of 3, she is a 2, and instead of 2, she is a 1. So that is a combined of 3, meaning that I could summon another creature to the board if I wanted to. That is a size 2. Nope, that's it, size 2. Now this may seem like an advantage, and it kind of is, but there are some reasons why it isn't, and I will show you why in here. Search. There's a card called Supersede, and actually this happens for a lot of cards. So whenever there's an ability that has numbers like 0 to 2, 3 to 5, it means that whatever the current number for that creature is on the board while it is on the field is the effect that will happen. So ally verdant size 3 to 5, which is what Botany Boxer originally was, she would get a strike gain of 15. But because she is no longer 3, she is 2, she would only get the guard gain of 10. This is something that I thought would be really cool and unique to the game, because you would have the trade-off of basically being able to summon more monsters, but in doing so, you might have less advantage in terms of the more powerful effect of some of the cards, or maybe the cards do exactly what you want them to, and you want your creatures to have this particular effect, so you size them down. Now, there isn't any real big strategy in terms of like cost reduction at this point. It's really just all in the events. Some of the events allow you to have like a cost reduction. I think some of the creatures even have cost reduction. So that is something I want to explore more, but I didn't want to like make it broken in the very beginning and have it be overcomplicated and stuff. So yeah, that's a thing. Because this is still the set phase, I can look at a creature and I can summon another one if I wanted to. I couldn't summon Bushtroll because he is a 3. Because he is not active, because he is not on the field, he is still a 3, and it would cost 3 to summon him. And because Berry Shruti is now a 1, and Mandragora is now a 2, that is a combine of 3, making 6. You only have the count of 5, so you would not be able to summon it. I could withdraw one of the creatures and then summon Bushtroll out, but I'm not going to do that right now. What I'm going to do instead is flip over Vilethorn Mandragora, because I'm going to summon this creature and place her in the B stance because she has an ability where while she is tapped, due to her tapped ability at the bottom, she can damage a target with 5 damage every phase. So every step, 5 damage. And her main ability is when she is tapped, or when you do tap her, you target a rival, you tap that rival, both cards are tapped until the second battle phase. So for 2 turns, both you and your rival will be stalled, or that card will be stalled, and they will be taking damage every step of the way. But she can still be attacked and do all that stuff, so it's not like it's something that's super impossible to get around. Now, the reason why I didn't flip any of these cards over is because I feel like it's more of an advantage to not show what creatures you have so that your opponent doesn't like make out what you're trying to do, because as more cards, because, well, for one, not a wide card pool, so your opponent's going to figure out eventually what kind of cards that you're putting together in order to make the game. But second, it makes it more interesting when you have to focus on the field and wonder what your opponent is doing on the side. It's just something I'm trying. Now, in terms of equipping monsters, well, first off, I want to do this. Berry Shruti has an ability when she is in the green stance, or the G stance, which it doesn't really stand for green, it stands for gamma, but gamma and green kind of just coincidentally go together, just like beta and blue seem to go together, but alpha and red do not. I just realized it could have been RGB. Whatever. Anyway, I'm going to use the G stance ability, which is to target an ally and guard gain 5. I'm going to do that for... I might do that for Vilethorn Mandragora, so give her the guard gain of 5 and she becomes 20. Just because I would want her to stay on the field while she's damaging others and when she's not being, active. And then what I would do next is, because I could also tap Berry Shruti, put it sideways, and search a gear out of my deck. Now, I thought of something interesting that I hadn't thought of before. What I could basically do is give Supersede to Botany Boxer, then discard it, and because the discard ability says that I could draw cards up to the number of the creature, I could draw 2 more cards because she is currently at a cost of 2. But if she was at a cost of 3, I could draw 3 cards. But I think, so like if you were trying to get through your deck and like hurry up and blow things out, I guess that probably would be a better idea. So I will do that. If you're going for a more aggressive thing, you could get the Broadleaf Blade, which gives her an extra strike of 10, and tap targets, which Vilethorn Mandragora would help you out with that. Tap targets would receive 10 verdant damage, which is attribute damage, and attribute damage is something that when it is done and there is a card that says like verdant damage 10 or verdant damage 5 or verdant damage, etc., you would add those 2 numbers between the word verdant damage to do some extra damage. It's just a power adder, pretty much. But again, I'm going to go and look for Supersede. It'll help me look for more cards. I will add it to Botany Boxer. I just thought of something. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, no, I can't summon any more things because cost 1, cost 1, cost 2, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's 4. So that's actually pretty balanced. I like that. Now, I could keep it, or what I could do is I could just instantly discard it and draw a verdant gear equal to the size of the ally verdant this card was equipped to. And then it says shuffle non-verdant gear drawn by this ability back in the deck, which I feel like that'll be pretty obvious for people who play card games. Like if you draw cards that the card says isn't there, then you would put them back in the deck and then shuffle the deck. So I might cut that down a little bit. Oh, but also for a more aggressive play, active verdant field, strike 2 for ally verdant equipped with this gear. Now I might change that to strike 1 because she already has a strike 2 ability, meaning that she'd be able to hit 4 times if the ability went off properly. And a lot of creatures that have, and every creature that has 3, 4, 5, all those high level creatures will have like a double strike ability. So that might not be a bad idea to kind of water down the items that give a double strike ability to just a single strike, and then it would be like strike 3 instead of strike 4 and whatnot. Because I made these for the smaller creatures, but making the smaller creatures that boosted would only get the bigger creatures that much better, so it would be avoided to use them. So I was like, okay, well, let me just water that down. I'm going to draw. Well, first I'm going to shuffle because I don't think I shuffled, and then I'm going to draw 2. Oh, and I got another one, so I can just do that, and then boom, put that in there. Draw another 2. Okay, and so what I could do here is, oh, and so these are triggers. What the triggers are, they're basically like trap cards if you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh. What they do is they allow you to respond to what a player is doing when they go, normally when they go to attack you. And what this card in particular does is it taps the rival that targets the Tamen and that activates this trigger. So if your opponent targets you with an ability or they go to attack you, what you could do is you could activate this card when it is the creature that has been targeted. So basically, my brain stopped working for a second. So basically, I would set this. I need more space here. I would set this, and whenever a creature would go to target this particular creature or a creature in this space, you could activate this and then tap them, meaning that you stop them from doing whatever they're doing and they cannot be used for the rest of the turn or for however long it says. So if it's a rival of 0 to 2, tap until the second end phase. For a rival of 3 to 5, tap until the next end phase. Because of some cards being able to change the size of creatures, this might be more advantageous for you if your opponent tries to summon more bigger monsters and the monsters are lower because of those effects, meaning that those bigger monsters will now be more affected by the cards you have. And what am I going to do here? I can equip the 2 of these with Broadleaf Blade because they are plants. Oh, it's a humanoid equip. It's not just plant. You know what? That's good. It's splashable. You can use it in other decks as well. You just won't get the verdant damage effect. But I will equip this to Botany Boxer Mandragora, and then I will equip this to Viletone Mandragora just in case I want to go into attack. And what I will do is I will then set this trigger, Bush Barrier. It's a card that negates an ability or damage towards the Tamen. And when it does that, okay, this card needs to be fixed, but it says ally size 0 to 2. It's not supposed to say ally size, it's supposed to say rival size. So the rival, yeah, this card needs to be fixed. So when the rival gets affected, they lose 10 guard until the next end phase, making them weaker and a little bit easier to take down. I don't know why this card, I might have accidentally put a different file in here. But and then for size 3 to 5, rival strike, tap until the next end phase. Now, I might take off Rival Strike too, because if it's a Rival Strike, that means that if they use an ability, none of this goes off, which I kind of want that to go off. So I would take off the ally size and put rival size 0 to 2, and then just guard loss 10 until the next end phase. Or I would put rival size 3 to 5, tap until the next end phase. So I'm going to set that there. Or you know what's even better is set it here. Hold on, I'm really thinking now. Negate the rival ability or damage towards the ally verdant that activates this trigger, then activate this card's effect. Size 0 2, size 3 5, rival strike, tap until the next end phase. Oh, they both basically do the same thing. The only difference between these cards is this. Tap the rival that targets the Tamen that activates this trigger. If the ability does not require the player to target a Tamen, the ability just goes off at random, and it doesn't say target a rival, then this trigger could not go off because you're not being targeted. You're just being damaged or you're just being affected. So that's the difference between this card and Bush Barrier. It's all in the wording. You got to really read the cards to make sure you understand what goes where. So I'm going to put that there because negation, I want to keep the big one, the bigger creature up there, and then I'm going to put that there. Now, battle phase and all that stuff, strike phase, battle phase, all that stuff, that would have to be something I do with another player to kind of give a better example as to what I would be doing. So that's basically it for this. This video took like 20 minutes, so I'm gonna have to do some editing to make sure I get like the more crucial stuff in there. But yeah, that's basically how you would start the game of Tamen up to the point of the set phase. And then during the battle phase, again, if I find somebody who can help me do that, then I'll do a battle phase demonstration. One more thing to note is the event deck. So if you draw an event and it's an event you don't want to play, what you're going to do is you're going to put it at the bottom of your deck, face up. I don't think it snaps, does it? No, it doesn't snap. Okay. You're going to put it at the bottom of your deck, face up, and then you're going to draw another event. And if it's the event you want, then you can activate it. If it's not, then you would have to discard it. So you get 2 chances or 1 chance. Well, okay, so the next time you draw an event and you don't want to play it, you'd have to put it into the discard file. So it's good to either have a wide variety of events that you want to play with, or just the 2 events at a multiple of 4. Yeah, at a multiple of 4. Well, I mean, you don't need to have it a multiple of 4. You could just like put more creatures or more items into your deck and just have like 1 or 2 events. But I do want to like implement a thing later in the game where events can be affected and destroyed as well. So, you know, just look out for something like that. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it for the demonstration. I wanted to make this to show people how the game pretty much goes. There are things I have to add, like damage counters and stuff like that, because I don't know if you'd be able to keep track of everything that's happening, for one. And secondly, I need to practice with somebody who has like the time to do so over and over again, because this is a game where you kind of have to get used to not playing in a certain way, but you got to get used to knowing what the creatures do so that you kind of shave down the time on what it is you're trying to make in terms of a strategy. This is one of those games where like you got to pay attention to what you're playing. So it's more, so if you've played something like Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, it's more like that. It's kind of like Magic the Gathering. It might be like Magic the Gathering. I don't know for sure because I never actually played Magic the Gathering. But yeah, this is designed to be competitive at the forefront, and then casual if it needs to be, or if the player wants it to be. Like, you don't have to do all this stuff. You could just play with only the battle stats, like the strike, guard, and range, and then just ignore all the other stuff and just use the gear and the events and attack and stuff like that. This has actually been a very long video. I haven't done a video this long in a while. Yeah, that'll be it. If you want to help me with a demonstration, you can DM me in the Discord. You could YouTube comments or in the server chats if I put these in servers, if I'm allowed to. Other ways to contact me. I think that, that pretty much covers everything. That's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one where hopefully I get a few players.